Good afternoon. This is the next CHIC podcast, and we are at Starship offices in Liverpool on the water. And I'm joined by Dave Darkin of Starship and Frankie Mitchell, who is currently in Leeds Beckett University, and he's doing a degree and specialising in MMC. Well, his dissertation's on MMC, so he's come along to look at the factory and to see what it's all about, really. So we're here to sort of celebrate. Starship have just won a scheme for Hull City Council over 3 sites, 42 units in MMC. And so I'm here with Dave to just have a chat with him about history of Starship, who they are, what they're about, what type of MMC they are, and just generally how the project's going to go. The idea of this will be an initial podcast, and then as the schemes develop through, we will follow the progress of them and meet with Hull City Council as well, and just basically give people, show people, what MMC is about, and that it is good news and the advantages of MMC, and hopefully more people will consider using this form of construction. So Dave, thank you for your time and for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about Starship, how it started, who the founders were, what your motivation was?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Starship Group, we're a property developer and a manufacturer that specialises in off-site construction. So we deliver homes built in a factory. We really focus on them being low-carbon homes, efficiency in delivery. We've been trading about 6 years now, founded by three people, and really trying to help solve a problem in the sector, really.
So Frankie and I have been to the factory, very kindly showed us earlier. So it's steel frame and panel. So for people who don't understand what that is, rather than sort of a frame of timber, which is what normal people, probably a lot of you have seen, is actually steel frame. And that's sort of put together as panels in a factory, and the windows are installed, and the external is clad in either brick, render. Do you do any other forms of cladding?
Yeah, I say timber cladding. We can do, that's the point of the system. Really, it provides complete flexibility to design a client's, a house type as they wish. Really.
Yes. So what category is it of MMC?
It's category 2.
Category 2. So it's just basically panels built in a factory and then installed and erected on site. And then how long does it take you to erect?
It's about a day and a half to get watertight.
So for an average, what's that, a 2-bed semi? Or?
Yeah, two, 3 bed, 2.5 story, about the same, a day and a half to install to get to watertight, and then all the work starts inside. Then you've got a watertight environment then for the contractors to work in.
So the panels, do they come sort of painted or plasterboarded?
No, they're open internally, so fully insulated, fully externally completed, ready to go, ready for first fix sort of fit out.
And then that's sort of, are they wired at all, or is that done on site?
No, all done on site currently, but again, we're working on sort of some pre-wiring and pre-sort of fit out, but everything is sort of, we say it's like an engineer product, so everything's thought through first, so all the runs, where everything goes, it's all put into our system and clash detected, so really it is an assembly job when you get out there, really, rather than a traditional fit out. Yeah,
we saw the service holes, didn't we, in the panels? Okay. And so how long have you been going? When were you established?
2021 we really started going, sort of in discussions in 2020, but we did a load of work up front around, making sure that whatever we were taking to market was going to try and solve some of the problems that the sector had in the past, really. Okay. So we wanted something that had maximum flexibility, didn't restrict house types, tried to engineer out some of the operational problems and the manufacturing problems that people had in the past. Okay. So we spent a lot of time doing that, and that's why we ended up in a sort of category 2 world, if you like, that gave us the maximum amount of flexibility.
And Chris was saying, so there's no sort of stringent house types you can do. Chris was saying in the factory that they actually haven't built the same house type twice.
Yeah.
And the one scheme had 18 house types that you were able to accommodate, which is unusual for MMC because sometimes MMC providers sort of restrict the amount of house types that they can go through the factory on. So that is a real plus.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is one of the reasons why there's been some of the challenges that the sector's had in the past is that the more restrictive you are in your product, the more restrictive your factory becomes.
Yes.
And then it's quite rigid. And then actually the market needs flexibility because, different clients, different architects, different communities want different house types and they want to approach things in a different way. So we've got to give that flexibility so there's some flair, some architectural flair, and people can create communities that aren't all the same boxes, whilst trying to create scalability. So there is a balance. But we work quite hard with our design team and the customers to sort of get that balance. And
we noticed, Frankie and I noticed that in the factory, windows, there's no restrictions in terms of you can have UPVC, you can have aluminium, and the bricks, although they're brick slips, they look as if they were sort of built in a traditional format. And very exciting to hear about the first robo brick. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this will be the first robotic brick slip system in the UK called Robo Brick. It's in partnership with our partner Van der Sanden, biggest brick manufacturer in Europe. So again, this is one of the sort of, I suppose, scalability bottlenecks because it's where the quality's got to be absolutely perfect. It's where the skills have to be sort of perfect. So this is going to help create more flexibility in sort of brick designs and brick configurations. And again, with it being the first, it's quite cool to see. We've been out into Europe and seen some of the development work that's gone on there. So we can't wait to get started on that.
Yeah, I mean, we must come back up and see it because Chris was showing us the video of the robots. Yeah. So they presumably they sort of take the brick slip and sort of glue it to the board or whatever it's set on. Do they then put the mortar in, or is that still done by hand?
That's still something we're working on. That's the next part of the innovation. But yeah, what happens now is because everything, we say this is an engineered product, everything's thought through, so we think about everything, in the design world before we do it in the manufacture world. So we have this thing called Brick Builder. So once the home's designed, the brick choice is put onto the building. It designs the brick. The robot reads the brick design. It knows what the wall is, and it starts to place the bricks in the wall. The bit we've got to put some work into now, and we're doing with our partners in Europe, is around the pointing.
Yes.
And actually, one of the things that a lot of work's gone into is around making the robots less accurate, because it's got to look like still like a built product, not a manufactured product.
Yeah.
You don't want it to look like a tiled wall. You want it to look like somebody's built it. So it's engineering back some of the perfection, so we can get some imperfections in there.
Yeah. And Chris was saying that you sort of quality test the walls and sort of bash them around a bit and try to destruct them. That's really interesting.
That's the fun bit, yeah. Yeah.
And then in terms of warranties and quality control, what have you're obviously got LABC warranty.
Yeah.
And is it Premier?
And Premier, yeah. We've got a couple in pipeline now, a couple of additional ones. We're in the middle of our sort of BOPAS accreditation. I think this is another thing around, with maybe some of the stigmas in the sector is it's so heavily monitored and regulated.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we have the opportunity in a factory to control things and to engineer things properly and to sort of control quality. But the level of scrutiny is way more than some of the traditional build projects that we work on as well. So I think it gives that peace of mind that there's lots of eyes on right the way through the process.
And you've got your quality assured as well, ISO.
Yeah, we've got our ISO accreditations right the way across quality, health and safety.
Right.
And again, with the BOPAS accreditation, that looks at not just the quality of the product, but the quality of the organisation, the systems and processes that you've got in, your ability to create that scalable delivery.
Brilliant. So apart from the HELD scheme, what other exciting opportunities have you got in the pipeline?
Yeah, well, we've got quite a few bits on now. We've got a project that we've just started locally with a registered provider. That's for 14 units, quite an innovative 3-storey innovative design. We
saw that, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was going through the factory,
so that's quite good. We've got one up in Manchester now, which is one of the first new Van der Sanden brick technologies in the UK that we're going through R&D, live R&D with the warranty provider there. I think these are the things that we like to do is work, on innovation. So, we're not just producing the same product, we're constantly trying to innovate.
So when you say R&D, what does that mean?
Yeah, so our sort of research and development. Yeah,
okay.
It's core part of what we do. We're great at building our buildings and delivering, but actually it's the R&D really, because we're constantly looking at ways of simplifying the engineering in how these homes are built together. We're hugely passionate about the energy efficiency of the homes and what it's like to live in them afterwards.
And I noticed that you're partnering with Octopus on zero bill home.
Yeah.
So does that mean that people living in houses, they don't pay any bills, or how does that work?
Exactly, yeah.
Really?
So one of the first handful of providers in the UK to reach Octopus zero bills standard. So what it means is, because of the air tightness that we're able to achieve at our houses, we create this scalable platform for low energy. So with a few upgrades, you end up with a Octopus Energy zero bills guarantee, and that gives you a 10-year guarantee period with no energy bills.
So is that expensive? Is that more expensive than your normal build, or is it relatively?
It's slightly more expensive, yeah. Not prohibitive, but obviously everyone's got viability challenges with the project, so we're working hard to be able to make this a standard. Right. But it's a very small uptick to get that benefit for the end user.
I mean, that could be phenomenal.
It's game changing,
particularly for low income families. That's a real good idea.
Have you had any maintenance issues from previous projects in recent years at all? Or?
Not really. No, I think the challenges you have in the sector effectively is that we're putting lots of new kit in people's houses that they're not used to using. So there's a little bit more to learn, not just for the person that lives in the home, but particularly if you're working for registered providers or asset owners. There's a little bit of change, a little bit of learning to do there. But these are things we're going to have to embrace anyway with future home standards. We've got to put these bits of kit in. And again, we're working on some technology solutions now that give more user-friendly feedback to the homeowner around whether the home's happy or sad. Does it need something to be switched? Or,
the more exposure to it as well, the more people will understand it.
Exactly. I think one of the great benefits is because, again, we talk about this as an engineered solution in steel frame, you get very little aftercare problems around cracks and stretches and creaking floorboards and all the rest of it. There's very, very little aftercare to sort of do, and I think that's a massive benefit. So not only it's not disruptive for the person living in the home that you're knocking on the door to fix things, but actually it has a cost implication for customers afterwards, where they're having to sort of handhold people through the first 24 months.
And then do you give tenants a user guide or a home and a user guide?
So all tenants get a full home user guide that's available electronically, and again what we're working on now is actually having that in a panel in the wall, an electronic panel. So brilliant. There's a feedback directly into the home that the home feels like it's telling you things, and it can tell you things back rather
Fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And then obviously do you incorporate BIM as well for the registered providers, housing associations, the handover?
Yeah, so this is what we're sort of doing. I was trying to work on a full integrated sort of handshake model with them, so that we're quite a technology focused business. So what we're always looking for is how can we give more visibility to the customer, how can we integrate the systems, and there's a lot of work going on around that now. We've actually got some things that hopefully in the next couple of months we'll be able to announce around our next step in that.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. Look forward to that. When do you start on site, Dave? Is it May?
Yeah, around about May time.
And that's the first site of 5, I understand?
First of 5.
And then the last site's 20?
Yep.
So there's another one in the middle.
In the middle, 17.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And overall, how long is this project going to take? From May till?
It's probably around about 18 months because they start at staggered points. But really, normally we're able to sort of deliver a sort of 50 home scheme in 12 months. So you really get that acceleration of superstructured delivery really quickly because we're controlling all the weather issues and and all that sort of stuff. You get proper program surety then.
So on the sites, will you phase it? So say on the first one, which is 5 units, will you build all 5 and hand over in one, or will you phase the handovers? Or
normally with sort of sub 10 or 15, we do a whole handover because it's a bit safer with the site and things. When we get up into the sort of 50, 60 to 100s, then we'll do a phased handovers, and then at least the clients can get things.
So on say the 17 and the 20, then you'll literally hand all those over on one day?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, we may do a phased handover depending on the site configuration. It's safety related mostly,
absolutely.
Because once the properties are finished, they're able to be handed over. But it's mainly around the safety factors of having people working, on the site.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just tying back to the automation side of it. The robo block or whatever it's called. That would obviously increase productivity. Would it also increase operational costs for you? And then would that also drive up the cost of a home?
It's actually the opposite. The most time-consuming thing we do is external finishing, particularly if it's bricks and to point the walls. That's the most time-consuming bit. So actually, as we say, one of the things we say about this sector is it creates jobs for fun, because you can see a tangible increase in employment directly related to the project in the factory. One of the bottlenecks is that brick slipping and external finishing. So what that does is it almost like releases the scalability, and it drastically reduces the cost. I think the cost of the external finishing is probably around about 26% of the whole cost of the project, or of the panel, if you like. So that allows us to really drive the efficiency. And again, as we know, as you start to scale, product costs come down because we're using more, we can get better deals. So I think, it delivers the opposite, really.
On the brick slips, is it a bit like with a traditional brick, you have brick factors that will put, they'll see a planning application, and if a brick's named, they put their dibs on that, and then the end user will get the best price if they go to that supplier. A brick slip similar, or a brick slip's more of an unusual design?
I think we have a bit more flexibility because it's MMC.
Yeah.
Because of the availability of the product, but we effectively match the brick to the architect's sort of requirements. So we've not really had any major issues like discharging conditions on brick colours and things like that. But ideally, we're working with the customer way in advance of that. Yeah. So we're able to sort of to almost stipulate the best brick. So you haven't got a third party artificially increasing the cost of that specific brick because they've seen it on a planning application or anything. So that, again, in itself is a cost saving. Yeah, it is. So that's good. And this is why it's important to have these partnerships, as we said before. This strategic partnership with Van der Sande in Europe, they're completely bought into driving innovation in the sector, is to driving costs down. They want to increase their volume sales in the UK. So it's important you've got partners that are responsible, that work with you on those sorts of things, rather than trying to manipulate the market. And I'm not suggesting people do, but it's we're trying to get every bit of cost down because the adoption of this is critical for the sector. And you've partnered with Velux as well? Partnered with Velux, so we've been trialling some of their first products in Europe, here in the UK, which has been great. And again, their passion is around sort of they sell obviously roof lights as products, but it's around light and airflow and health, and they work quite closely with around this whole ecosystem. So as we're managing housing design, what's the best placement of windows, what's the best orientation for light, and you've developed an MMC roof light with them? We have, yeah. And Chris, on the way back from the factory, took us to one of the sites around the corner, where it's the same house types, but some are in the roof and some haven't got a room in the roof. But if families sort of expanded over the years, you could quite easily, because you've designed it so you could put a roof light in, you could quite easily just take the tiles out, cut out, and put the Velux in relatively cost effectively. That's it. And it's, as we just said before, around trying to put technology in the home, so it's talking to you and telling you, but we're trying to be more intelligent with the solutions. So just under a mile away from our offices here, we delivered the same solution for a customer, because obviously we're trying to build lots of 2-bed homes and 1-bed homes because that's what the market is now, but actually that changes because people's families grow. So what we've got is pre-designed conversion techniques to say that 2-bed home can go to a 3-bed, and it's there's a specific engineered design already. They know exactly what needs to be done, what parts are needed, how to procure those, so the home can change and flex as it goes. It works out cheaper as well. If you do that renovation, and also the zero tolerance on the windows as well, and everything like that. And everything's thought through, because actually when you think about it, sometimes families are being disrupted because they're moving away from the communities they live in, their friends, the children's friends, their family, the schools, because they need a new home. Whereas actually we've got to make these sort of houses be a bit smarter and more lifelong homes. Brilliant. Well, I'm conscious of time, so thank you both so much for your input and your time. Hope you found that useful, and watch this space for the next one.